It is a pleasure to be here with you. I'm Trevor Rutar. I'm the CEO of Kraken Financial. It's a privilege to be here at the Blockchain Stampede alongside lawmakers, business innovators, students, everybody here who has built the foundations of this industry and continues to build it into the future. For me, this is actually a bit personal. I went to school at the University of Wyoming studying business, and everything that has happened since then is built upon that foundation. So this is a little bit like coming full circle and back to the University of Wyoming. Also, my parents are here. Either they're really interested in digital assets or they just want to make sure that I'm legitimate. They actually don't get often a chance to hear me speak, so I'm really honored to have you guys here. My mom likes to say that I work in funny money, and I'm sure you've had these conversations around your Thanksgiving table where they've got tons of questions. Some of them you can answer, others you have no idea how to answer. Well, I certainly appreciate that because it challenges me to go a little bit deeper. I do that research, and I'm able to explain things a little bit easier, like on a global level, because I'm in this stuff deep all day long, and so being able to talk about it at a higher level, I have them to thanks to that. And they're a pretty good hang, so make sure you come and talk to them throughout the afternoon. I have been attending this event since its early days, back when it was a hackathon and people were building projects overnight, fueled on Red Bull and bad pizza. Also during the COVID years where everything was broadcast virtually, I was still attending the sessions then. So we've come a long way since those scrappy days. Now we're talking about global markets, institutional adoption, national policy. So Wyoming does continue to punch above its weight here in this industry. As the late Senator Alan Simpson would like to say, if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu. If you don't know who Alan Simpson is, Google him. He was a really phenomenal guy from the state of Wyoming. And Wyoming has pulled up the chair and claimed a spot at the table of financial innovation, and we're continuing to do that. I began my career in banking a few years before the Great Recession. I saw the rise of the euphoria and the fall during that financial crisis. Over nearly 2 decades, including several years as a chief lending officer, I saw the strengths of the system, but also its glaring weaknesses. The Federal Reserve can play a critical role in stabilizing markets, managing inflation, and serving as a lender of last resort. But it also creates distortions, either expanding and contracting money supply, keeping interest rates artificially high or artificially low, and oftentimes fueling the very bubbles that it later has to clean up. And it's not a new debate. Our founding fathers had very strong views on money. They distrusted any fiat currency that was not backed by substance. Thomas Jefferson cautioned that paper money was liable to be abused, has been, and will forever be abused. George Washington also warned that inflation was a form of taxation without representation. He also lamented during the Revolutionary War that a wagon load of money wouldn't purchase a wagon load of supplies. So today we're looking at $34 trillion in national debt, and it's not hard to see their warnings in our current challenges. Governments facing mounting debt often turn to the printing press and devaluing their currency to pay yesterday's bills. That realization forced me to a crossroads. After several decades in banking, I knew I had 2 options: watch the disruption from the side or step onto the field. I chose the field, and so I joined Kraken, and I wanted to be part of the disruption instead of one of the disrupted. So why crypto? A lot of folks ask that question, and for me it's because it strips out inefficiency. When you deposit money at a bank, you don't hold anything physical, you just see a digital promise on a statement. The bank moves those numbers around when you swipe a card, or you pay a bill, or when it lends out your deposits. Crypto takes that one step further. With crypto, you are the bank, you hold the funds, you make the transfers. Bitcoin is scarce, borderless, and resistant to manipulation. Stable coins, are faster and cheaper than credit cards. Ethereum powers smart contracts, and the blockchain beneath it all is decentralized, transparent, and efficient. In short, blockchain replaces trust with truth. And it isn't just theory. Here in Wyoming, we often think of crypto like an investment, but in places like Argentina, Nigeria, or Turkey, it's a lifeline. Countries that have 50% inflation, they use Bitcoin and stable coins to protect their savings and their wealth. Remittances are also being transformed. Fees that once cost 10% are now 1% or even lower. And the difference means food, school, medicine for people in those countries and their families. Blockchain provides open access to finance. You don't need a branch, you just need a phone. We see crypto as freedom tech. It resists tyranny, it empowers individuals, and ensures financial tools aren't reserved only for those with the right passport or the right bank account. The next generation already understands this. They're digitally native. For them, a crypto wallet will be just as normal as a debit card. So at Kraken, we are actually building the bridge between traditional finance and the online digital future. We offer crypto trading, staking, custody, alongside commission-free trading and ETF investing. Institutions rely on Kraken Prime, which is a newer product umbrella that we launched for execution or liquidity, and banks can connect through a product we have called Kraken Embed, which is also available for fintechs. We've launched a global payments app called Crack, so make sure you get your Crack. And we've expanded globally with new licenses and built tools like Inkchain and multi-chain wallet. And of course, we have Kraken Financial, which is our special purpose depository institution where we provide banking services and digital asset custody that plugs into the entire ecosystem. Simply put, whether you're an individual or an institution or a regulator, Kraken is where finance is meeting the future. And this is why Kraken relocated our headquarters here. Wyoming is the most forward-thinking jurisdiction in the nation when it comes to digital assets and blockchains. The Wyoming blockchain bills that have already been talked about this morning they created clarity where other states were either hesitating or were outright hostile. And if you want to buy me a drink, we can talk about some of those hostilities we've experienced, not just in the United States, but globally. The Chancery Court that was stood up here created a specialized venue for asset disputes, and the Dow and Duna laws are setting standards for decentralized autonomous organizations. By market value, Kraken is standing among the largest companies headquartered in Wyoming. That means that innovation happening here isn't just shaping financial policy, it's anchoring a significant presence here in the state. Kraken has invested in Wyoming because Wyoming invested in itself, creating legal and regulatory environment where innovation thrives and a business climate that attracts capital, partnerships, and national attention. That translates into economic activity, sponsorships, and thought leadership that ripple across the state, even if our teams are distributed globally. With the University of Wyoming, we've actually proudly sponsored the Blockchain Symposium in Jackson Hole, Wyoming the last few years. That's become the hottest ticket in town. We're turning people away, and it's a very expensive ticket to get. This is a place where policy, technology, and ideas are colliding. And this year delivered some really unforgettable moments. There was a moment where Anthony Scaramucci and Eric Trump had an on-stage reconciliation and talked about Bitcoin and mining. Federal Reserve's governors, Mickey Bowman and Chris Waller, talked about a new day at the Fed and signaling a willingness to embrace innovation. Caitlin and I really liked those comments, which we have not heard. Yes, the dialogue continues with the Fed. Still waiting is right. SEC Chairman Paul Atkins was also there, and he talked about Project Crypto at the SEC, and that has given the industry regulatory clarity and a framework that we have long sought. And then we've already talked about the Wyoming Stable Token Commission. They actually launched or made their announcement of the Frontier Token at the symposium. So policy momentum is real. Leaders from both sides of the aisle, Senators Lummis and Tim Scott, along with members of the House Financial Services Committee, they're proving that progress can be made here, and it's receiving bipartisan support. The Genius Act passed just a few months ago, and the Clarity Act has strong bipartisan support. We're hopeful that that will pass by the end of the year. That's going to create market structure that also the industry has long sought. At the symposium, we saw asset managers, miners, AI pioneers, and human rights advocates discussing how blockchain is changing not just markets, but society itself. And we're seeing that here at the university in this Stampede today. The message is clear. Wyoming isn't just shaping policy for itself, it's shaping policy for the nation. Just as a pebble thrown into a pond will create ripples, so are the actions here in Wyoming really spreading across the globe in the financial markets. Of course, the road hasn't always been smooth. The crypto winter of 2022 and 2023 were painful but necessary reminders. But bear in mind, Bitcoin has crashed 70 to 80% 4 different times in the past, and each time it's come back stronger. I think the real lesson is that leverage and speculation are dangerous. And I'm reminded of the quote by Howard Marks, leverage magnifies outcomes, but it doesn't change the probabilities. So in 2022, we saw too much leverage, too little transparency, and too much greed in the system. So when Terra Luna collapsed, the dominoes started to fall. Innovation doesn't fail because of technology. It fails when human behavior piles reckless bets on top of it. That's why proof of reserves, solvency, risk management, these things are non-negotiable. And that's why Kraken set up a bank. Blockchain and crypto make these tools possible. The future isn't just digital. The future is going to be on-chain. Figure Technologies, which is a company that just went public a few weeks ago, they're already proving this. They have originated billions of dollars in loans on blockchain rails and are showing how fast tokenization is moving from theory to practice. And here's what else is coming. I want to provide some alpha to those in the room and the budding entrepreneurs and students, some areas of business to consider. Securities will be issued and settled on blockchains, transparent supply chains of medical records, identities secured without passwords, real-time settlement that eliminates counterparty risk, tokenized deposits, bonds, equities in real estates that will unlock trillions in liquidity, programmable money that will automate contracts, compliance, and payments, and stable coins competing with Visa and MasterCard. And you can just imagine sending dollars instantly across borders, 24/7, 365 without hidden fees. Actually, you don't have to use your imagination anymore. It's happening today. And in the next 5 years, you'll swipe a card and not even know that it's settled on blockchain. That's how seamless it'll be. And this technology isn't just for banks and finance and Wall Street. It could also help states solve real problems like billions in abandoned funds. I was at a conference last week talking to state treasurers, and this is a real issue for them. When they escheat or have unclaimed or abandoned property, they need digital asset solutions. And so now it can be done on-chain, tied to digital identity, and claimed instantly by rightful owners. So this is why blockchain must be treated as a foundational infrastructure and not just an experiment. We're living in that 1995 moment of the internet, except this time it's finance, law, medicine, and governance. So to the students here, you are standing on the ground floor of this generational shift. To the business leaders, blockchain is not just finance, it's logistics, it as energy, medicine, and beyond. To the legislators in the room, keep going. You've proven that smart, clear regulation attracts innovation, and clarity beats ambiguity every single time. And to my parents, I'm still gainfully employed, and I'll continue to build in this industry. So I'll close with this. For decades, intermediaries stood between people and their money. Blockchain puts that power back into the hands of the people. Wyoming has shown what's possible when courage, clarity, and innovation come together. The future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed yet. And Wyoming is making sure that it gets distributed here first. Thanks, everybody.